What's a truth you wish you never learned? Story 1. Sometimes there just aren't any good choices. Maybe it's because of a decision you made in the past and now you're paying the price. Maybe it's something deeper, your body, your brain, something you can't reach inside yourself and fix. Sometimes it's not even your fault. It could be the result of choices made decades before you were born. Eventually, you find yourself staring at a lineup of bad options, trying to figure out which one you can live with. Stories often make it seem like life is a choice between good and evil, and growing up, you believe that's how it works. But it rarely does. It's not fair, and there's no way to make it fair. You just have to keep living with it. Story 2. That life is short, and it usually ends messily. That if you live in the real world, you don't get your own way. That even when you get what you wanted, it's never what you thought it would be. That no one sees you as kindly as you see yourself. And that within a generation or two, you'll be completely forgotten. And the world will keep spinning as if you never existed. The late great Paul Fussell, A Power of Facing Unpleasant Facts, from Thank God for the Atom Bomb and Other Essays, 1988. Story 3. You eventually learn that when people really want to get to know you, it's often not for pure reasons. They want something: control, exposure, power. They want to dig into your mind and twist it. But the worst part, when you genuinely want to know someone, to connect and understand them, they assume you're just like everyone else, pretending to care while plotting something. Story 4. Fairy tale endings are a lie. When you're young, you imagine finding your perfect person, spending decades in happiness, and peacefully fading out together. Reality's not so kind. Even if you're lucky enough to find real love and live a long, full life, someone will go first. Maybe one gets dementia and the other has to watch them slowly fade. Maybe one gets cancer and the other spends endless hours in hospitals. If you're truly lucky, maybe you both live long, adventurous lives, and one day, one of you simply slips away quietly, surrounded by loved ones. It sounds bleak, but it's the human condition. So many people spend their final years alone, or watching the person they love most disappear piece by piece. Life, after all, is 100% fatal. Story 5. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, kids' shows drilled one message into our heads. Nothing matters more than family. Your parents would love you no matter what. They'd die to protect you. Ohana means family. All fathers love their sons. Together, we can do anything. If something went wrong, you could always tell your parents. They'd help, support, and understand you. On TV, they always did. But for many of us, that turned out not to be true. Real families don't always love, support, or even notice you. For those who grew up in broken homes, that idealized version of love was just a lie. One that warped our idea of what family should be. It's hard realizing how naive those lessons were, that what we thought was normal love wasn't love at all. Story 6. There are people out there who will take advantage of you the second you let them. They feel no empathy, no guilt, and no concern for how their actions affect others. It's pure win at all costs. There are psychopaths who only care about money and power. They'll destroy anything and anyone that stands between them and their goals. There are ideologies whose followers would kill you without hesitation, smiling as they do it. They'll gladly accept your kindness, then stab you in the back. Darkness exists. Real, unprovoked darkness, and you have to protect yourself from it physically, mentally, and emotionally. To understand the evil in others, you're often forced to confront the darkness inside yourself. It's terrifying what people are capable of, and how many walk through the life blissfully unaware of it. Story 7. The days are long, but the years fly by. If life feels like it's rushing past you, try changing things up. I made massive life changes, new relationship, new career, even a new time zone. And suddenly time slowed down again like it did years ago. But it doesn't have to be big things. Take a different route home, try a new food, visit that local spot you've always meant to check out. pick up a craft kit at Michael's, and spend an afternoon making something. Even small doses of novelty can slow your perception of time and make life feel full again. Story 8. A few Christmases back, my friend, thinking he was hilarious, bought me a box of douches as a gag gift because, well, I can be a bit of a douchebag. I hid them in my room because, yeah, awkward gift. Months later, my mom was cleaning and found them. She called me upstairs, asking why I had them, and I told her the story. Then she said the worst possible sentence I've ever heard. Well, you could have given them to me. I'll never recover from that mental image. Story 9. The internet opened my eyes to the world, for better and worse. I've seen what people do to each other, things I couldn't have imagined before witnessing them online. The sheer depth of human cruelty leaves you jaded. These days, almost nothing shocks me. If I saw some of that pain in person, I'm not sure I'd even feel different, just numb. It's not a good feeling. I miss being naive, trusting that people were mostly good, that evil was rare and justice always prevailed. Now I know better. We're not the heroes. There's no shining light. There's just us, flawed and often cruel, pretending otherwise. Story 10. Everything you see is technically an image from the past. That girl walking down the street, you're not seeing her now. You're seeing her a fraction of a second ago. But it's even stranger than that. If we were truly seeing the past, we'd never be able to catch a baseball or react in time. Our brains know we're about 1/10 of a second behind reality, so they make a prediction, showing us what the world should look like a moment in the future. We never see what's happening. We see what our brain expects to happen. That's how magicians fool us. While our brains predict one thing, they do another. Pretty wild, right? I think I heard that on a Radiolab episode. If you haven't listened, you should. Every episode blows your mind. Story 11. There are people out there with the power to change how the world works, and they've decided not to. They're okay with people dying from curable diseases because they can't afford treatment. They're fine with families starving, kids going uneducated, and people sleeping on the streets. They think it's acceptable to arrest people for smoking a plant, to turn college students into criminals for drinking a beer at 18, to throw addicts in prison instead of hospitals. They're fine with inequality, fine with owning other humans, fine with ignoring people's rights when it's convenient. They have the power to make things better, but they've chosen not to. Story 12. I wish I hadn't realized that most of us are just slaves to the system. We work to produce meaningless stuff, just to pay taxes and keep consuming. Your life doesn't hold much value unless you're buying or making something for someone else. The government doesn't sell you anything, so it fines you, arrests you, and forces you to follow laws it knows are immoral, just to make money off you. They'll send you to war so corporations can profit, and when you die, they'll tax your family for what you left behind. And society? It doesn't care. People are too distracted by TV, the next sale, the next trend. But honestly, it's not their fault. You're not making them any money. Story 13. It's not exactly a discovery, more of an unsettling realization. Humanity won't last forever. One day we'll vanish completely, leaving no trace. I can accept my own insignificance. I'm happy, I live my life. But thinking about all of humanity being wiped out terrifies me. We're fragile. Sure, we adapt, but the universe doesn't care. A single gamma ray burst aimed our way could wipe out the planet in seconds, without warning. That thought haunts me more than anything. Story 14. Feeling tired all the time? Here's one thing I learned. If you've got a fast metabolism and eat lots of heavy, greasy food, your body spends tons of energy digesting it, leaving you drained. I used to deal with that a lot. Staying hydrated and eating more fruits and veggies instead of heavy meals made a huge difference. Sometimes fatigue isn't about sleep, it's about what you're feeding your body. Story 15. I finally made it to college, the first in my family to do it. but now I can't afford to transfer and finish my degree. The only real option I have left is the military, and that's where the conflict lies. I don't want to be part of an institution that harms others, but I also want a fair shot at a stable, middle-class life. I want to make my family proud. It's hard when your choices come down to survival or conscience. Story 16. I recently found out my real grandfather is the biggest organized crime leader in my town. I grew up thinking my mom's adoptive dad was her biological father, until the truth came out after my real grandfather got out of prison following a 10-year sentence. Now that he's free and my adoptive grandfather is passed, my mom wants to reconnect with her biological father, even though she knows he's a local kingpin. It's not like we're dealing with the New York Mafia or anything, but it's still uncomfortable, especially now that he's showering me with gifts. I don't know what to make of it. Story 17. When I was 19, my dad got into an argument with my older brother, the brother I'd always looked up to. In the middle of the fight, Dad blurted out that Mom was already pregnant when they met. I was stunned. I went inside and asked Mom, and she broke down crying. That's when I knew it was true. My brother is actually my half-brother. They had both promised never to tell us. It was awkward for a while, especially for him, but in the end, it didn't change how I felt. He's still my brother, still someone I admire. We forgave our dad too. Honestly, forgiveness is the only thing that's held our family together. Story 18. One harsh truth I learned: not everyone who hangs out with you actually likes you. I used to hang around this group of girls all the time. Then one day, one of them told me straight up. I was annoying, and most of the group didn't like me. It crushed me. After that, I had a hard time trusting anyone. I stopped going to sleepovers and hanging out after school, even when people invited me. In the back of my mind, that voice always whispered, they're just being polite. They'll have more fun without you. That kind of hurt sticks. Story 19. Without help, trauma never truly heals. You can survive, you can cope, but without proper support, the pain just sits there, waiting. And thank you for the awards, by the way. They make me smile. But if you are going to give a paid one, please consider donating instead to a local mental health charity or animal shelter. That would mean even more. Thank you all for the kindness and for sharing your own stories. Story 20. Anything can be taken from you. Anything. Your job, your home, your purpose, your loved ones, your dreams, your body, your hope, gone in an instant. Life doesn't follow logic or fairness. The universe is chaotic. There are patterns, yes, but we'll never fully understand them. It's one of the hardest things to accept, that everything can change in a moment. But that's also what makes life so precious. Story 21. We're a lot like arrows shot into the sky. Good parents build the best bow they can, steady their aim, and hope the arrow flies far. They know that if they shoot true, they'll never catch up to their kids. But that's the point. The world moves forward, and the future gets brighter. Average parents just grab whatever bow they can find. They wobble a bit, fire, and hope it lands somewhere decent. They weren't prepared, but they did their best. Bad parents never even bother to aim. They just stick the arrow straight into the mud, either out of carelessness or out of spite, making sure it never even gets a chance to fly. Story 22. This one's long, but it's the truth. When I was younger, I wanted to be a hero. Kind, brave, selfless. At first, I came from wanting to do good, but over time it turned into something else. A compulsion. You start sacrificing your comfort for others, expecting nothing in return. Eventually, people stop seeing your kindness as generosity. They start to expect it, and you accept that because it's who you've become. But the more you give, the more you notice how little others do. You see selfishness everywhere. You realize there are very few people like you, and they're usually just as isolated. Being a hero is lonely. There's no applause, no recognition, no movie ending. People forget you until they need you. I still believe in doing good for the sake of good. But man, it hurts. It really does. Story 23. Your story doesn't have to be an inspiring comeback. You don't need to overcome trauma to deserve empathy. Sometimes surviving the day is enough. There's no set timeline for healing. You don't have to get better just to make others comfortable. If someone accuses you of being dramatic or attention-seeking, that's on them. They're just demanding that your pain fit their expectations. It's okay not to be okay. Take your time. Heal in your own way. You don't owe anyone a performance. Story 24. Being poor is brutally hard, and working hard doesn't always fix it. You can show up early, stay late, be reliable, polite, and driven, and still never move beyond minimum wage. If you try to get government assistance, working full-time disqualifies you. If you cut hours to qualify, you can't make rent. Unless you're a parent, veteran, disabled, or pregnant, the only help you'll likely get is food stamps, and that barely keeps you afloat. Rent eats 70% of your income. The rest vanishes on bills and food, and nothing you do feels like enough. The hardest truth? Sometimes when you're poor, you just stay poor. Story 25. When I was a teenager, I learned this harsh truth: nobody cares. If you get in trouble, no one swoops in to save you. There's no coach giving you a motivational speech, no big movie moment. Maybe a stranger helps for a second, but they won't stick around for the hard part. Then, as an adult, I learned it again, from the opposite side: nobody cares. If you screw up or embarrass yourself, people forget almost instantly. The judgment and gossip that seemed huge in high school, it doesn't exist in the real world. Nobody cares, and that's not bad or good, it's just how life works. Story 26. You can have friends whose lives look perfect, close families, money, stability, while yours feels like it's falling apart. Your rich friend's biggest worry might be which dream job their kid gets, while you're bracing for the next phone call from your divorced parents, wondering if it's bad news about a sibling. I've had a good life overall, but it still stings sometimes. Watching people you care about thrive while your own family struggles, it's a tough pill to swallow. I'm grateful for the friends I can lean on, but sometimes I just ask myself, why does my family have to be the one constantly fighting to stay afloat? Story 27. One of the hardest truths I've had to accept: you might go your whole life without ever being truly loved. I spent my 20s and 30s hoping I'd meet someone who'd love me deeply. I was attractive, kind, successful, but it never happened. At some point, I had to face it. Maybe no one ever will. Now that I'm in my 50s, I've made peace with it. I focused on making myself happy instead of waiting for someone else to. Love isn't guaranteed. You don't always get what you want, or what you deserve. That's one of life's toughest lessons. Story 28. Most people are only really good at 2 or 3 things, and some just one. Think about teachers. How many have confidently talked nonsense about subjects they clearly know nothing about? We've all seen it. To be truly competent in something like politics or law, you'd need above average knowledge in tons of areas: psychology, economics, sociology, infrastructure, foreign relations. The list goes on. But since most people only excel at a couple of things, the odds that any authority figure actually understands all they're in charge of? Pretty low. A lot of experts are just improvising within their limited perspective, and the power they hold often comes from authority, not wisdom. Story 29. True friends come and go. There are times when you're surrounded by a group of people who get you perfectly. You swear you'll be friends forever. Then life happens. People get married, have kids, move away, or die. Sometimes you realize a friend was toxic or manipulative. Years pass before you reconnect with the few real ones who remain, and when you do, it feels like no time has passed at all. You reminisce, laugh, and remember the good days. That's what growing up is, learning that friendships change, fade, and sometimes circle back when you least expect it. Story 30. For me, it's a tie between 2 hard truths. First, the people you care most about often don't feel the same way. You might see someone as a best friend or confidant, but to them, you're just another acquaintance. If you're open and expressive, that imbalance hits even harder. Second, the idea that hard work and dedication guarantee success, it's mostly a myth. In most workplaces, going above and beyond can actually hurt you, especially if your boss feels threatened. In big organizations, excelling too much just paints a target on your back. As for making friends at work, that's like a lawyer chatting with cops. Best case, nothing happens. Worst case, it backfires. These truths hit me hard, but once I accepted them, life got easier. I stopped overextending myself, cut fake friendships, and started focusing on the few people and things that truly matter. It's freeing once you stop expecting the world to reward effort or emotion the way you think it should.